Hello, everyone. Yeah, in this session, I would like to explain you all about cloud computing. So, before going to so much into AWS, the services, and all what it provides, and what maybe the other providers, it will be a good idea to understand what the cloud computing itself is. So, um, simply, it is the infrastructure that we're using from the different providers. What I mean by that is, assume there is some application running on the in a company and on a physical servers. So for an application to run, you might need an operating system. Before that, you might have to have the hardware like purchased and set up for the application. And within the hardware, kind of the compute, maybe the memory, you might need the storage, and all the different sort of the machines, the disk, the drives, and whatsoever, the network connectivity, and everything for running one application. So now with cloud computing, we have an options to migrate that to an infrastructure provided by a different providers. By doing that, what a company will achieve is if they didn't have to do the planning, definitely will be done what is needed like in the for that application. But just in case if we the all of a sudden some of the customers increases, and the requests starting to millions of requests are coming in to the application. So would that the server be able to handle the workload? That is something is a thing. This is just one of the things. There are so many other advantages of cloud computing. So then to scale, now the infrastructure that we have is not really easy. Then you have to plan, go purchase hardware, and then do another, like maybe add servers, maybe the load balancers, set up one on another machine, load balancing the load, things like that. So as things evolve, or like things changes, you might need changes in your the physical infrastructure setup. So how like there is like, by using the cloud computing, what exactly we are doing is we are using the infrastructure provided by the different providers, cloud provider. The top cloud providers now are AWS is topmost, Azure is one of the cloud provider, and Microsoft Azure, and then Google Cloud. That is these are mostly any of the companies actually using for their cloud computing needs, or their resources, applications, infrastructure, or whatever it needs. And so that is something what we could do, use is migrate, or maybe use application, or like use infrastructure provided that, and manage our resources, manage the company resources or the application on their infrastructure. So this is something very like in simply what cloud computing is. Although there are like a whole lot of things involved, I just want to be in a very basic in way, go step by step. It needs the networking, it needs security, it needs some SLAs, agreements on how much the service that will be available, and whatsoever the agreements with the providers. And it needs the authentication, authorization is there, and many other things are there for sure. It will come like in the later videos for me, how everything will be set up. But just to basic to understand, the cloud computing is what it is we are technically using the infrastructure provided by different providers. And instead of going to like a big companies again to make more and more simpler, what I'll do is this is something I'll show you. This is one of the computer. It is running with the Windows. It has some everything will be within it, right? It's a laptop, so it has the hard drive, and the processor running, and the memory will be there. Memory cards are there. Everything is there. This is here in the computer, and then on that we are running. We are like having some or files, or for me it's just like a basic personal use. So there are some files, but someone can have their own web application running, just like an assumption. It's a very basic and a very like a to start with. It's a basic example that I would like to give. So this, instead of having application running on our physical server, this application can be migrated to the infrastructure of the AWS. And AWS provides console to access and to provision, to deploy, to do whatsoever, and manage our own application and resources on their infrastructure. And that is one of the things. So how this is achievable, and what AWS does or other providers does, they have infrastructure spread out all throughout the world. And if we for Amazon Web Services, it is divided into different regions. There are like availability zones, and each of that availability zone and the region have a infrastructure, like a huge infrastructure, big data centers or whatever, the infrastructure, the storage, everything already there from AWS. And on top of that, and then it provides, and it provides that infrastructure like for their customers to use. And that is in a very simplest way. How that is achievable, there is a concept of virtualization, and on top of their hardware there is a hypervisor will be there, and on the hypervisor, you can have many virtual machines running that share the storage and compute memory from the physical infrastructure. So the physical like when you really do into AWS, you're not really worried about this virtualization or anything. It's just for like I'm trying to explain what exactly it is. So no, the hypervisor will be there on top of that many virtual machines will be running, and that virtual machine. It could be that if for example, like if you want to have a similar Windows machine running, so there is a service EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud, provided by AWS. What you could do is you can have your own server running with your own configuration using that service. So this is it's like the infrastructure side, and what they provide, and then that EC2 that you provision, like it is that is provision, it will be assigned or to the customer there, like whoever is using dedicated or some of the. There are so many options. Later we discuss how the dedicated is the physical devices, so the infrastructure of the AWS. You can the customer can have their own dedicated devices, or share the devices, and share like devices share the infrastructure, physical hardware infrastructure. There's a whole lot of things that we will discuss in the later videos. What I want to make sure everybody understand, what is the basic concept of the cloud computing, or how it is. So technically, just to simple, I repeat, this is we're using infrastructure from different providers instead of having our own infrastructure. we can migrate or we can create new applications, new servers on to the native onto the cloud providers infrastructure. And now that is it is in a very basic way. So are the advantages of using cloud computing? Why not I can have like on my own like servers running, or the company have their own servers running in their own company and use that. So that is something is because, as I was discussing about the physical drives and everything, a lot of planning need to be there, and then if we need more infrastructure or more servers created, it will take so much of planning and time to get other servers and then scale. If and So if we use cloud, there are options like within few minutes, the you can have a new server can be added. A new server can be added. So so for maybe the customer base increases, or maybe at a times there are some of maybe a million during maybe the working hours, or only their customers are coming to the application, and after that they're not a lot of customers, not so much of a traffic coming to you the server. So in that situation also, what you can have, scalability is an option for while we use the cloud computing. It scales the server, the physical servers, it will scale. And also the physical server, in the sense like the servers, like the virtual servers that we own there, it can be scaled to multiple different servers. That is something is the horizontal scaling it can. And also, if you think you don't need like a bigger so much of the scalability on different scaling the virtual machines or like that, what you can what there is an option of a vertical scaling, memory optimize, more higher memory, CPU needed. So that kind of vertical scaling can be done into the same server. That is one another option. So that discusses the scalability, and within minutes you can get the infrastructure set up. That is one another thing. And elasticity is there for it's a lot of the services in AWS. It starts with elastic. So even EC2, elastic compute cloud. And so there's many others are there. So what elasticity? it it simply is the cloud computing concept within their infrastructure. They allow the customers to uh, like if their infrastructure need increases, so they don't even have to plan for it. The infrastructure will be ready as per their needs. That is what something the elasticity is. For example, like if there is a rubber band, you stretch and then it expands, and then if you leave, it shrinks. That is similarly like if there maybe a storage is there or whatever the service is there, so it increases in size as per our needs. So that is something elasticity. And similarly, high availability. High availability is there. If one application or one at one or the other location is completely destroyed, or some hazards or something happen, and so it will the option is there to you can run the application into two different locations. And that is something, even if a loss of the whole one of the zone, there is an option that you still the application is running without any issues. So that is really very another good advantage of using the cloud computing. There are so many things, and so many things it provide. the cloud providers it provides in the support models that it provides, that it's the terms they use is infrastructure as a service, and IaaS, you might hear this, but basically they're providing the infrastructure as a service. And similarly, like a platform will be provided as a service. And this is something that the support models. And yeah, this is these like here these are some of the term that you can get more into more details. My vision or my goals is for everyone to understand from like the bottom up of the things how it is happening. If I will tell like where to go more and more details, and then you can search. But at least you will have the concepts. You're not lost. Like sometimes you're just learning a lot of services, and after you don't even know what cloud computing or the basic idea of it is. It is something. So any of my further videos is mostly will be sharing the basic idea of any service or basic idea of what it is providing, and how, and the complete setup and end-to-end setup. That will be my all on my focus. And so that is there. And I think for this video it should be really very enough. It might get so long, so I think this is something really very enough. I will continue maybe in the next video. I'll provide more details on the AWS, its services, and it is all the different thing, how it is. But basically for this cloud computing session that I have given, you must just have to think about you're using infrastructure provided at different providers, and there we can use a whole lot of different services, virtual machines, storage, and then databases, and there are now machine learning projects can be deployed, and everything, so a lot of things using the provider's infrastructure. So this is basically a basic idea of cloud computing. Great, I think that's about it, and see you again in the next video. Thanks.